Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm KittyCoder and today we're going to learn the basics of JavaScript. Before we start this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more videos and tutorials. Other than that, let's get started. Our first basic in JavaScript we have here is shapes. Shapes are really common in JavaScript projects and apps. Our first shape is a rect function. So let's check this out and see how it works. So I'm going to just cut this out and show you. The site I'm using is Khan Academy, which is a really good site for learning subjects and doing computer programming. So let's see how you call the rect function. First, all you have to do is write rect with a parenthesis and write the x parameter. The x is the x coordinate of the top left corner. So if you do this 400, then the y is the y coordinate of the top left corner. And then you could do this as 300. And then we have the width, which is the width of the rectangle, and the height, which is the height of the rectangle. So we could put it as 50 and 60. And then we have to have a closing parenthesis and a semicolon. So the reason why it doesn't show up because I put the x to 400. So as you could see there's a rectangle. There's also one more parameter, which is the radius, and it's optional. You don't need it. So that's how you do the rect. So now our next shape is an ellipse. An ellipse is the same as the rect function. It has x, y, width, and height parameters. Let's go see that. I'm going to show you. So what you need to do for ellipse is type ellipse, and same as the rect function, do two parentheses with a semicolon and write the x, y, width, and height. There's no radius in an ellipse because it's not a rectangle. So let's do 140, 160, and 60, 70. So there it is. See that? So let's move on to our next shape. Our next shape is a triangle. It's the same as the rect and ellipse, but it has three x and y parameters. Let's see how this works. So what you need to do is say triangle, two parentheses, and a semicolon, and write our x1. Let's do 150, 145, 130, 134, 209, and 180. So it didn't come out right. But okay, now it came out right. As you could see, there's a triangle. You could put any numbers you want in these. So let's move on to our next shape. Next here, we don't really have a shape, we have a line. It's the same as the triangle function, but it only has two x and y parameters. So you could see here, you don't need stroke weight or anything like that, just need a line. So as you could see, there's a line with a x1, a y1, a x2, and a y2. You could adjust these to any numbers you want. Then next up, we have a point, which is the same as lines and triangles, but there's only one x and y parameter. So let's go check out this. Okay, you could see there's a point here which has a 100 of x and 200 of y. And our second point has a stroke weight, and our third point has a stroke and a stroke weight. Here, see that. So our next one is an image. So images are really easy to do in JavaScript. In Khan Academy with JavaScript, the width and height are optional, but the image, X, and Y you all need. So first, what you have to do to draw an image is do image with an opening parenthesis and closing one, semicolon, and then you have to say inside the parentheses, get image, and have these. And you could choose any avatar or character you want from here. This. Then, after you choose that, you need to draw the X and Y. And then you need a closing parentheses. So as you could see there, the image is drawn. So the next basic we have is colors. The first colors we have is background color. So let's see how that is produced. Here, what you have to do to get the background color function is do background and two parentheses. When you already do the opening parentheses, the closing and semicolon show up because it's color. So you could set this to anything you want. But before I get into that, we have parameters. The first parameter is R, the second is J, and third is B. There's a A1, which I don't know what that is. It's transparency, and it's optional. But R is amount of red, G is amount of green, and B is amount of blue. As you could see there, I drew an orange color here. So then our next one is fill. Our fill has the same parameters and A, which is optional, but it fills in shapes for you. So if you want to do a rect function, do 170, 165, 50, and 59, and you do a semicolon, it shows up. Then before that rect function, you have to put a fill, just fill, and then the opening parentheses, then the closing and semicolon show up. So you could set this to any color you want. Then our next one is NoFill. This allows you to turn off fill for shapes. So if you do here rect like the other one, 130, 120, 50, 56, that. And then you say fill. And then before that, you have to call the NoFill function. So NoFill. So if you cut this off, you won't have anything. Which is really cool. So our next color is stroke. Stroke is not really a color, it's just an outline for shapes. The stroke has the same parameters as fill and background, but it draws an outline for shapes. So if you do ellipse 120, 40, and you could do stroke. And you could set it to a color you want. See there? It will turn blue. If you set it to aqua, it will turn aqua. So that's pretty. Next, we have no stroke, which turn off outlines for shape, just like NoFill, so you don't need to see that. It's just the same. Then we have color, which is not really necessary, but you will want to see it. It has the same parameters as fill and background. As you could see there, the fill color equals color. If you turn, you could see that. So it's the same thing as fill, but a little different. That's it for colors. Our next basic is text. So first up, we have text, the text function, which will draw some text. Okay, so I'll do. So what you need to do for the text function is write text, then open a double quote, and say whatever you want. I'll say, hello, my name is KittyCode. Name is KittyCode. Then closing. Then you have to do X and Y. So we'll do 120, 140. And a closing parentheses and a semicolon. So you could just put it. See that? It's supposed to show up, but I don't know why it's not showing up. Well, the reason it's not showing up, I was done. You need to set fill. It has to be. Okay, now it shows up. There it is. My name is KittyCode. You could do whatever you want in this string. But you have to make sure you have a closing and opening double quote. Our next one is text font, which allows you to get a different font, and then text size, which allows you to change the size of the text. So as you could see here, it says a variable, which I'll talk about later in a different basic. Variable f equals create font monospace. So you have to do var anything you want. Var red equals create font. Then you have to have equals mono space, and you don't have to have a size. I didn't say create font monospace. You have to have just a quick problem. Okay, it says redefinition of. Oh, okay. Then you have to have parentheses. No, you have to have parentheses inside this. So it says the name of the fonts here. You could write anything you want. Then you don't need size, it's optional. I'm just going to do 30. So you don't need an equal here. So create font, then you could put put text, then put text, and create whatever you want, and just put the variable in before the text. Okay, so then you could get the monospace. So then we have text size. You don't really need text size, but you could bring the size here. And that, let's move on to our next basic. Our next basic, it's environment. It's the width and height of the size of the canvas. As you can see here, you just need to do ellipse, the width, then a fraction of 2, see, something like that. You could do whatever you want. It's not really necessary for environment, but you need to know this. Draw function equals draw equals function. It calls it repeatedly during a program. So you here, I could just say draw equals function, then put whatever you want, and it will be called repeatedly during the program. But there's another cool thing that I will show you in the next basic. This basic right here, which is var equals function, but I'll show you our next basic, which is mouse. The mouse allows you to control the mouse at the canvas. So our first one is mouse X and mouse Y. It's the coordinates of the current coordinates of a mouse. So it says fill, then text size, then text start plotting some points. It says plot a point at the mouse coordinates when the mouse is clicked. You'll see that. So that's what mouse X and mouse Y does. See mouse plus. Those are some complex stuff. I'll talk you through that later. But as you could see here, that's really cool. Woo! Okay, then we have mouse button is which button it's pressed. So as you could see here, it's a draw function, then background equals black. Then if mouse pressed, I'll talk you through if, else if, and else. Those are some complicated stuff on a different tutorial. But as you could see here, if the mouse is pressed, you could get yellow colors here in the square. So it says if mouse pressed and mouse button equals left, fill a yellow. If else if mouse is pressed and mouse button equals right, then fill purple. So then it says else fill white. So if it's not being pressed, it's white. So you could change it to any color. So let's do blue. Okay. See that? Our next one is mouse is pressed, which it tells you whether a mouse is being pressed or not, as you saw in the last one. Var draw equals function. Background equals black. If mouse is pressed, then fill it. Fill the square yellow, else fill it white. So it's the same thing, but a little more simpler and less complicated than the other one, which is mouse button. Then we have the mouse click function, which creates a function whether the mouse is being clicked or not. So if you click the mouse, it will draw ellipses all over. So all you have to do is mouse click equals function, then 2 parentheses and 2 closing brackets. Then here I could draw rectangles. So we need rectangles here. So you need 120, 130. Actually, you have to put mouse X and mouse Y. Mouse X and mouse Y. Then width and height, which is 30. Ooh. That's really cool. So that's mouse. Then we have keyboard, which is true if the key is being pressed, false otherwise. So let's just go back. So you could see it says var draw equals function, pressed, then fill it fill it red, other else fill it white. So I could do this. See that? If you press the key, any key, while hovering through the canvas, or not hovering through, it will just keep showing red, which is cool. Then we have a key press function, which is basically kind of the same thing, but it's kind of different because if you type something while hovering over this canvas, it will show like this. Then we have our next one, which is debugging, which you could check if your code is right or wrong. So wait for it to load. So it says printin. Printin is the basic thing of debug. See that? And it says about to debug. It's printing in whatever it tells it to print in. So that is marvelous. Then we have var equals function. There's no draw. I accidentally put that. Sorry. And I'll show you this really cool. Very, very cool. Really. So you create a variable. Var is the short of variable. And you can name anything you want. KittyCode. And equals function. The two parentheses, two brackets. Inside that, you could put anything you want. Have to have semicolon. And then I'm going to draw an ellipse here. So X and Y. Then width and height. Then you just have to put this. So you could see that it doesn't show up because it's a function. So it has to be called. If you call kitty code. See that? And you could also do this. So you could copy and paste over again. But as you could see, it's not going anywhere. That's because inside this function, you have to say, or outside the function, random, anything you want, 0 to 300. But I think I did it wrong. I'll talk you through that later. But it doesn't happen now. As you could see, it's getting thicker though. If you add more. It's getting thicker, but it's not moving. See that? So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching my video and my presentation. Stay tuned because on the next video, we're going to do a really cool project. Other than that, like, share, and subscribe. Bye!